Okay, let's get started on some wit and wisdom. Remember yesterday, I told you that we were working on our very brand new unit, our brand new module. So we are now in module 3, and module 3 is going to be all about the wind. And so I told you yesterday that all the stories that we have to work with are going to help us to answer this question. We are going to try to figure out the answer at the very end to this question. How do people respond to the powerful force of the wind? And we talked about force is that push or that pull, that power, that physical strength over something. So how do people respond to that powerful push or pull or strength of the wind? And so what we're going to do is in our very first book, we're going to learn all about how is the wind a powerful force? We're going to learn how it is powerful. What causes it to have that strength? So I want you to remember yesterday we read that poem, and that poem was called The Wind by James Reeves. I'm going to read it to you one more time, okay? And as I read it, I want you to think about those words that I told you that we were going to talk about today. We're going to do some vocabulary, okay? So listen carefully to the poem one more time, and as I read it, I want you to think what it would be like to act these words out, because in just a second, I'm going to let you do some acting. Okay, here we go. The wind. I can get through a doorway without any key and strip the leaves from the great oak tree. I can drive storm clouds and shake tall towers, or I can steal through a garden and not wake the flowers. Seas I can move and ships I can sink. I can carry a housetop or the scent of pink. When I am angry, I can rave and riot. And when I am spent, I lie quiet as quiet. So remember, our job is to be able to figure out how the wind is powerful. And this is going to be our very first thing. So what I want us to do is I want us to take a look at some words, okay? Here are the words that I want you to think about, and I want you to figure out what these words might mean. So my first word is strip, okay? My first word is strip. My next word is drive. My third word is rave. My fourth word is riot. And my last word is spent. Spent. Okay? Now, what I want you to do is I want you to go through and think about those words and how they were used in our poem, because in just a minute, your job is going to be to highlight these words as well as other verbs that describe the powerful force or that powerful movement of the wind, okay? So think about that word strip. It says in the poem, I strip the leaves. I want you to act that out. Pretend like you're the wind, and I want you to strip the leaves off the great oak tree. Good job. I hope you use a forceful, because you're taking those leaves off of the tree. Now let's look at our next one, drive. In the poem it says, I can drive storm clouds. Pretend like you're the wind and drive those storm clouds. In my mind, I'm thinking something like this. The wind is pushing those storm clouds away so we can be done with them. All right, let's look at the word rave and riot, because they kind of go together. So it says, when I am angry, I can rave and riot. What might the wind look like when it raves and riots? I mean, you should probably be going crazy right now, because that's essentially what it is. When you rave and riot, when you're mad, think about when you get mad and you become, right? That's rave and riot, to just become out of control. All right, now let's hear the word spent. Listen carefully. And when I am spent, I lie quiet as quiet. Spent, what might that look like? Act it out. I hope you did something like this. Because when I'm spent, it means really tired, okay? So now what I'm gonna have you do, your job today, is you are going to go through, I'm gonna put this poem on Seesaw, and your job is to go through and you are gonna circle or highlight the verbs that describe how the wind can be so powerful. I gave you 5 of them, so you're gonna find those too. And then I want you to go through and find any more words that can show how the wind is powerful, what force the wind has.